supporting you in your dog parenting journey. The Dynamic Dog Owner with Debbie Potter.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Dynamic Dog Owner, the podcast designed to support you, the dog parent, in your dog parenting journey to help you feel a little bit more in control, understood and empowered to help your dog and you enjoy a wonderful life together. So today's episode is about energetic dogs. And I thought it was a good topic because I have an energetic dog and sometimes it's really hard to manage his needs with everyday life. And that's why I thought we'd make this episode about that. Because your average dog is very happy with a walk once a day, maybe twice if they're lucky, and then they'll chill out for the rest of the day and it's all hunky-dory. That's what two of my dogs are like. They can go out for a 20-minute walk and they'll sleep the rest of the day. They can have no walk and they'll sleep for the whole day and be happy and content at home. They can go out for a 3-hour walk and be happy. Very easy, go with the flow, life's good. Then you get dogs who are not quite like that, who are like my Rem, who are not satisfied unless we have been entertained, exercised for hours on end. And it's really hard to juggle that because most of us have a job, have commitments, have hobbies, have places they need to go, chores, errands, kids, other animals. We've got responsibilities, right? I can't give you what you need every day. And this was highlighted to me while we were on holiday. So I've recently come back from the Lake District, our favourite place in the world, 2 whole weeks in the lakes. What could be better? I've booked it again for next year, can't wait. I've also booked to go away without my children and just me and my husband so I can get out walking every day in February, cannot wait. Well, that's only for 2 days, but hey, better than none. Anyway, while I was away, Rem was happy. Like proper contentment, happy. And that level of contentment with him rarely happens because in everyday life, I cannot physically give him what he needs to make him fully content. We get by, we scratch the surface, and we do the bare minimum, but he needs more. And I'm not saying this because I'm like, you might think, what an irresponsible dog owner, but he needs a lot. And I just can't fit it in every day, He was happy on holiday because on the I think we were there actually for about 12 days, give or take out the traveling days, 12 days, he walked around 50-something miles. So on average, 5 miles a day. Some days were 2 or 3 miles, some days were 9 miles. He was happy. He was super duper happy because that's the level of exercise he needs. Now, that was him going out for 2, 3, 4 hours of walking every day. I cannot do that every day of the week because when do we fit that in? So this podcast is a little bit about, and it's all kind of an inspiration, I suppose, of also ideas for you to how to help a energetic dog who needs a lot when you don't have as much time as they need. Because they are more than the average dog. Hi, from a Yogi Bear, more than just the average bear. This is more than just the average dog. So, first of all, consistency is really help because if they know what they're going to get and they can rely on it, it helps. So having consistent stuff. If you do loads one day and not a lot the next, then obviously one day they're left wanting more and the next day they are very, very satisfied and they're constantly having to adjust their energy levels. Whereas if we're consistent with what we give them, they kind of get used to it. One of the things we can get into the trap of doing is giving our energetic dogs more and more, which sometimes builds stamina inadvertently. And then we're actually creating a dog that needs more and more. I'm sure if I walk Rem for 2 hours, 3 hours every single day at home, he'd then be like, can I have a fourth hour, please? He wouldn't say no. Think about we often look at the world in quite a reactive way, and this is across the board with everything. It's human nature. We wait till there's a problem, then we try and fix it rather than trying to counteract the problem first. So with a really energetic dog, I would say first job of the day is to try and satisfy that need. Because if they've got energy and it's not got an outlet, that's when we start to get upset dogs that find other outlets for that energy. That's when they might start becoming a nuisance, causing mischief, etc. And then we're reacting to it, going, "Oh, you're such a naughty dog," blah 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 blah. Whereas if we give them what they need first of all, they're happy. So first job of the day is give the dog enough to just satisfy them for the first bit, burn off some of that energy to help them be calmer throughout the rest of the day. I know a lot of Rem's unwanted behaviours are always when he hasn't quite had his needs met. So say, for example, he hasn't had as much walk as he'd like in the morning. And obviously I say that very, of course he could walk for 6 hours, but, enough to do wheeze, poos and just take the edge off. So for him, that is a good 20-minute walk at 7 a.m. He then goes out again for his main walk later and then has multiple walks throughout the day. Because of life, if I was giving him a 3-hour walk at 7 a.m, he'd be good for the rest of the day, but I have to go to work. So, it's kid, everyone's getting up and doing stuff. So that can't work, can on holiday, because it's easy, but it can't on everyday life. So it's kind of satisfying enough and then topping up later. Of course, we've got the whole, enrichment, fun feeding, interactive toys dispense food, etc., which are good, but they're not a replacement for natural dog behaviour. Check out our podcast a few episodes ago. It was called Enrichment, Myth, or can't remember what it's called. Anyway, it's about enrichment. Give it something. Have a look at that because that kind of touches on it. But they are good. They are useful. They're a way of helping your dog, but they're not a replacement for training. An energetic dog needs training. It needs an outlet. Not necessarily training in terms of I need you to behave, but training in terms of breed outlets, an outlet for behavior, an outlet for their brain stimulation, so that we're mentally stimulating, giving them opportunities and really working and exercising that brain. And depending on your dog and their breed, that could be, gun dog games, it could be hunting, it could be chasing really fast. That's slightly technical. But breed outlet training behaviours, actions. So scent detections, fly ball, agility, hoopers, that kind of tracking, those sports that are good for not wearing out dogs, but they have the benefit of wearing out dogs, but they're wearing them out because they're mentally stimulating them and channeling what they really, really need to do, which is the breed specific part. So that energetic dog who is misbehaving actually just needs something to scratch the itch, the itch of not doing what I should be bred to do. And what normally happens is if we don't satisfy their need, they find the opportunity to do it and then we're creating a problem. So, for example, collies who don't get the opportunity to practice herding, even if you have a flock of sheep, they're probably doing it, herding games, they're likely to then find somewhere to do that, like shadow chasing cars, etc. So energetic dogs need an outlet. They need something to satisfy that brain. Obviously, there is the need for social interaction, whatever that may be. A lot of energetic dogs like to be around other dogs and people. They don't like to be on their own all the time because there's something to do. And it's trying to find, I find, it's trying to find the things that you can incorporate your dog into the everyday life stuff. So, if you've got a hobby where your dog can go with you, brilliant. If you're going on a family day out, your dog can go with you, brilliant. Because then they are having that outlet. So, for example, I like hiking. I love hiking. Nothing beats going for a good long walk. My dog can come to and wear me out, and he gets his needs met whilst mine are being met. So incorporating your dog in everyday stuff that you like doing is helpful. So if you've got a really, really energetic dog, and your favourite pastime is to sit and watch the telly, you might find there's a little bit of a clash because they want to be doing stuff. So having hobbies that can include your dog, whether that be hiking, swimming, running, if you've got an adult dog who's old enough, etc., to do something like canicross with you, a dog that can go out on your days out with you, etc. It helps because you can combine two tasks. And I find that really helpful. That Rem, thankfully, is a pretty good dog when he's out and about. He doesn't cause too much extra stress. That I can take him 2 days out. We took him to Windsor Illuminated a couple of weeks ago. Walking around all the lights, I can take him to National Trust places and he'll just happily walk along next to me. It helps because I can combine family with him. I can't necessarily do that with one of my other dogs, but it's cool because he didn't use much exercise. So it helps. But, if you've got exercises, exercises, if you've got hobbies or interests that can involve your dog, then naturally they're getting some stimulation, some social skills with people and dogs whilst you are doing what you want to do. So you're combining exercise, which can really, really help. Not necessarily if you're working on a training issue, but if thinking about energetic dog and only energetic dog, then we've got those bits that can help. You've also, you can look at so many different things, balancing their attention needs, quality, teaching them to switch off. What you often find with an energetic dog, I find it with Rem, is that he finds it hard to switch off that energy. When we're busy doing something, he's like, oh, this is great. This is the best day ever. And then you stop and you get home, he's like, now what? And then that's where some challenging behaviours can come in because he can't transition from doing loads to doing nothing. So we have to help him do that. So it's then finding that equilibrium, that balance, the transfer energy. And I think one of the things that's tempting when you've got an energetic dog, things like doggy daycare, etc., which isn't a bad thing, but just make sure you pick the right one. Because yes, dog daycares are great for some dogs, but they're not great for other dogs. And all establishments are completely different. So you're looking, if you really find it hard to satisfy their need, dog walker, dog daycare can be an absolute godsend to help you because they're just taking some of the pressure off. Dog walkers, again, solo, brilliant. They're just taking your dog and doing what they need. Group walks can be a little bit more challenging. Doggy daycare, you just need to make sure you're picking the right kind of person. And we had a doggy daycare on the podcast a few episodes again. Check that one out. I don't know what episode it was. It was with Claire from Claire's Company Canines, who run an award-winning doggy daycare, giving some really good information and tips on what to look for. And the same with dog walkers. You want to look for a good one who can satisfy your dog's needs while being responsible and caring for them and giving them the best they need. Sometimes what you can find if you pick the wrong doggy daycare is the dogs are just free to run around all day long together. And then you start to see that behaviour trying to creep into your walks. Then your dog's desperately trying to play with everyone they meet when you're out, which then poses a training issue. So if you're struggling, then finding someone to help you can be really, really, really beneficial. Because I'm not going to lie, it's hard to manage an energetic dog alongside life. Obviously, sometimes energy comes out and it's not actually a dog's energy, there's other stuff going on. So sometimes overwhelm, overtiredness, and stress can come out as energy, but it's not an energy that needs exercising, it's a emotional energy that is trying to come out, and actually we need to address the root cause of it. So don't always just assume that your energetic dog needs more exercise. Sometimes what appears energetic dog actually needs less. So this is where, again, obviously on the podcast, it's very general advice, but sometimes the energy you're seeing is an energy that needs more exercise. It actually needs less because it's an emotional energy. So it's worth considering that as well. Personally, for me, living with an energetic dog, it helps to have both humans on board with what the dog needs, which is basically satisfy his need first, and then he's happy. Because if he doesn't have his needs satisfied, he becomes a little bit challenging, because he's going, hey, I need more. He needs to go out. He wants to go and do something. He needs a wee. He needs this. He needs that. And it can become quite challenging. So we have a really good routine where he goes out he doesn't wee and poo in the garden, which makes life harder, but in the same way, it kind of helps him because it gets his energy out. He goes for probably 4 walks a day, a couple of long ones, a couple of short ones. We make sure his needs are met first. He goes training 2 or 3 times a week. So he has lots going on, but equally has the right amount of decompression time as well. So it's exercising his brain. Obviously in training for him, it's not obedient stuff, because I hate that word anyway, but it's breed specific. So his training is gun dog activities, so having gun doggy games and exercises to have fun with, not for a purpose I've ever worked in, but to scratch the itch. And he also does scent detection, which is great for brain, anxiety, and just giving him a huge outlet. And he becomes very, very satisfied from such activities, which then helps to release some of that energy. So if you have got an energetic dog, some of these tips might help you, but just be aware that you want to check and make sure that the energy is not from anything else, and it is just purely that they are an energetic breed. Because some don't need more, they sometimes just need the right option. And obviously our natural reaction is let's walk them more and more and more and more and more. But sometimes we do need to just see what are we actually giving them. It's not always the case of let's walk loads. Sometimes it's what other things can we do, like the enrichment things, like the activities, and like breed-specific enrichment and outlets that are the game changer when it comes to an energetic dog. Hopefully you found this episode useful. And if you have got an energetic dog, feel free to ask questions in the comments. Feel free to share your tips for dealing with an energetic dog and trying to match that lifestyle need. I need to do things with meeting your dog's need. Have a wonderful week, and I will catch up with you all really soon.
If you love listening to the podcast, why not check out the Potter Academy for practical dog training advice and how-to videos. The hub is broken down into sections, and hundreds of pre-recorded videos are there for you to start watching whenever you choose. You can watch them back as many times as you like. You also get to talk to other community members and discuss your training and benefit from live Q&As with myself where you can get your questions answered. Why not make use of our 3-day free trial where you can access all of the content on the hub absolutely free for 3 days. The link is in the description below, so do check that out. And I can't wait to see you in the hub.
Thank you for listening to The Dynamic Dog Owner with me, Debbie Potter. See you next time.